Ladies and gentlemen, dear delegates, we welcome you to this session, this panel discussion on asset management and project management in road sector. And we all hope that, I hope that you all had a great lunch, and because we have a very interesting session, and then we have the cultural evening going right up to 10 p.m. So I hope you're going to have a great day in the last day of the 74th annual session of the Indian Roads Congress. I will take this opportunity, and I have the privilege to welcome and also to introduce before you the chairperson, the chairman of the session. He is Sri V.L. Patankar, Additional Director General Road Development, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. Sri Patankar is the eminent civil engineer and has been involved in completion of many important projects in the ministry. He is a member of various technical committees of the Indian Roads Congress. May I request Sri V.L. Patankar, Chairman of this session, to kindly come forward and take his seat on the dais. Dear delegates, we will request you to put your hands together in applause for Sri V.L. Patankar. A very warm welcome to you, sir, for chairing this very important panel discussion. And I would also request, along with the chairman, for these other presenters to take the seats on the dais. Dr. Ashok Kumar, may I request you, sir, to kindly come onto the dais and take your seat. Sri Adesh Jain, Sri D.P. Gupta, Sri S.K. Puri, Sri Sunil Bhaumik, Sri Mahesh Kumar, and Dr. G.V.S. Raju. We have this very, very important panel discussion on asset management and project management in road sector. And once again, before the chairman takes over this panel discussion, may I request all present here to kindly keep their mobiles silent or the switched off mode, because this is a very intense discussion that we're going to have. And I now hand over the session to our chairman as our panelists take their seats. I once again welcome the chairman and the presenters. Thank you.
Good afternoon, friends. We have in this session, which is on asset management and project management in the road sector, very eminent panelists sector, and I'm sure that today's discussions in the next 2 hours would be quite fruitful. They'll be meaningful, and they'll be, to a great extent, they will help us in taking up these issues forward, find solutions to the problems that we have been facing in the past, and way forward as to how do we take care of these two major issues. Although they are two different issues, they are two different elements in the highway sector. Both of them have been very, very important matters that have been agitating our minds, and we have been, the professional of the highway sector has been looking forward, ultimately to look forward that the assets that we create are properly managed and they are completed with quality and in time, so that they are able to serve with proper asset management over the time, serve the mankind, serve the road users from the long-term perspective. With your permission, I would now request first Dr. Ashok Kumar to make his presentation, which would mainly be relating to the asset management. Dr. Ashok Kumar has been from CRRI, he has been associated, he has been working with the World Bank from a long, long time. He doesn't require any introduction. I would request now Dr. Ashok Kumar to make the presentation. Dr. Ashok Kumar, floor is yours. Dr. Ashok Kumar, may I request you to take about finish off as early as possible, maybe say 25 minutes or so? Yeah, maximum 30 minutes, okay, all right. So that we are able to have more of the discussion. I will try to
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and friends. Actually, this presentation is on asset management, but the focus is not actually to let you know what asset management is, but to give the future direction and how to operationalize the asset management in India. What I will be covering is that what we are missing in the absence of a good asset management system and what we can get by actually using it and what differences it could make, mainly preserving and investment. So both construction and maintenance I would be actually covering, but mostly the institutional part, how to institutionalize it in a road agency based on the experiences world over. So what I am presenting you is a synthesis of some 15 to 20 countries who are very advanced into their asset management knowledge. Actually, as you know, India has got about 4.2 million kilometers of road network, but it's not, and I believe it's the third or the second largest in the world. But still it is not meeting the demand of the economy due to its poor condition. And the picture I showed the very first actually is one example of that which is not very out of the range. Currently there has been a very big increase in the investment in the sector. There was a paper from the Planning Commission that during the 12th five-year plan, about $1 trillion, that is several thousand crores, would be invested in infrastructure. So now it's actually a challenge how to make best use of that big amount of money. So going forward, there are two main priorities which I consider. In PMGSY and other program, we are expanding the road network very rapidly. So the first priority is how to preserve that vast network. That is a very big issue. Then second is how to ensure sound investment decisions, because it's not only sufficient to invest the money, but to invest in the best possible way and get best value for the money. Actually, I will share one example from other countries in Federal Highway Administration, which are far advanced than us. They use value engineering techniques, and they found that they can reduce the project cost by 15 to 20% without even changing any specification, through only finding alternatives for better solution. So what I believe in India, we can do much better a job. So if you consider how much is the potential, $1 trillion if we deliver it at 25% less cost, or we deliver more 25% more roads, you can imagine how much would be the actual benefit to the economy. So currently I estimated, without any actually strength of the data, that about 35,000 crores is lost in the asset value every year in India due to inadequate maintenance. So if we just convert that into maintenance, perhaps we could be much wiser. And if you calculate the indirect cost to the economy, that would be several times higher. Even our high-speed network, actually there, as some of you may be knowing, the travel cost and the transport cost constitute 95% of the total cost on high-density network. So there the loss to the economy, loss to the employment is phenomenal. If you see some of the state highway or primary network, we cannot even achieve the average speed of 40 kilometers per hour, whereas in developed countries we can have up to 100 or 80 kilometers. So just double the travel cost we are investing. So that is something very important for us to consider. The main reason is actually for maintenance. We don't have a very clear defined policy, institutional framework to plan, fund and implement the maintenance work. So these are the key issues, due to which we have got always inadequate planning and suboptimal decision. The required data, actually that is the main root cause of the problem. We find it extremely hard to have a very sound database, and due to that we lose tremendous opportunity to get good value of money from our assets. Actually, when I checked international situation in several countries. That's not very different than India. Actually, there are growing pressure even in US. Actually, some of the roads, I was surprised to read that they were bitumen earlier and people could not maintain, so they converted them back to gravel. And a lot of the roads don't receive maintenance. But now the asset management things are changing, that people are asking accountability, that suppose we give you 100 million, what you want to achieve. So people are asking for a better linkage between funding and performance. So that is something for the Ministry of Road Transport and other senior people to think, that if we don't link actually what we are going to get out of the money, then things will be like that. And people are actually forced to deliver the services at the least cost. And the transparency and accountability in the system is being insisted actually through regulation in Australia and in Federal Highway Administration and in New Zealand. But somehow actually our legal framework is not that strong currently, and we continue to do the things that way. So the main focus actually incentive for this initiative is to develop a asset management framework under the Maintenance and Asset Management Committee of the Indian Roads Congress. And some very good examples for it are available in USA, Australia, New Zealand, and very recently, few months before, their international standard ISO 55000, which define the complete procedures, broader element of a asset management, how it should be implemented in a road agency. So we are trying through this committee, through World Bank support, to develop something similar. So what I am going to present, actually these are the main key points, and actually I will not be referring to the good work done individually in several states that we all recognize, but I want your guidance actually how to take this initiative further. In India, this actually I have already explained, so I will skip it. Actually, let us first decide what is asset management actually. Some people I talk to 10 people, everybody will have very different opinion about it. Some people feel that if they have got some computerized data and produce, whether even don't produce any report, that is asset management. But actually it's not necessary that you should have. Asset management is only a planning tool, a strategic and systematic process of operating, maintaining, upgrading and expanding the physical assets that we can call road assets throughout their life cycle. So any decision, any way you do it actually, so intuitively lot of you do some sort of asset management, or I will say most of the time some asset management into the road agency. But perhaps we don't do it through a very systematic process. So that all I will be highlighting. We do, all of us actually I found working with road agency, people do extremely hard. So now what I am presenting is how can we put that good work to a proper use. Actually the idea is to focus on better decision making based on quality information, well-defined objectives and improved business and engineering processes. If anything is lacking, if we don't know what the objective of the asset management is, then there will be a problem. And the key principle actually here is to recognize that assets have got economic value. They can make economic differences, and the optimization of expenditure over the lifetime is the key. And the role of road agency not only building the roads, but to take a guardian role actually to provide better information to politicians so that they can take informed decisions. Our problem of the sector is that we are not doing that. Suppose somebody cut our maintenance budget by half. So what evidence we have to argue against it? If I have got a proper asset management, I can say that to save 100 crores, in the process you are losing 1500 crore or 1000 crore, so many employment opportunities, so much driving cost to the business, and we make that information public, then perhaps we will be much better off. The main benefits actually is, I will not go into detail, I have covered already. And let us see what are the key steps in establishing a asset management system that will give you some of the clue why we are not able to successfully operate them in several of the places. Very many number of times we go into this third book, development and use of asset management system, and one or two steps we undertake, we start collecting some data, but we don't align or set any direction. Suppose you don't tell what decision would be based on the asset management, then actually you cannot integrate. We need to decide actually what is the objective of the institution or a road agency is. It's not merely building the roads, actually it is delivering transport services to the rural people, which I will explain through the next slide. Then we need to align the entire organization towards asset management, because our business processes are working without asset management. When you introduce something altogether, then it will require changes in the policy, the way you are collecting the data, the way you are managing the data, the way you are taking the decision. What happened actually in several times, the decision making etc. continues in the old fashion, and asset management effort couldn't sustain because nobody was looking for it. So this is general framework under which we want to develop the asset management. Very first objective is to set the direction. So this is actually could be the statement for a road agency. The idea could be to provide a well-connected, well-planned, efficient, good quality, pothole-free. I made the sentence very long so somebody can focus according to his needs. Safe and well-maintained road network. That's not enough actually in a cost-effective manner to provide best value of money. To do what? Actually to promote economic growth, meet future transport demand, accelerate growth in less developed and isolated regions and rural areas by linking them with the economy. So if we start with that objective, then a lot of things would be clear. Actually, we cannot just start some asset management development unless we know what we want to do in an organization, then we won't be successful. Then this is about defining the scope in the road agency, what type of assets to be managed and what decisions would be based. So this I discussed, I will try to omit. Now I come to aligning the institution for asset management. How to make it ready? Actually, it's not very simple procedure. I am seeing the data from several road agencies in the world. It is 15-20 years actually it has taken them to properly integrate it within them, and they are very, very small countries compared to India. So still the process is going, so we need to be very patient about it. So there are some of the things actually. Actually it's not deputing 1 or 2 person and making them responsible for asset management. So these are the all participants. Everybody in the institution would be affected or influenced by the asset management. If it is not, then actually asset management system is not functioning. So we need a core asset management team, then engineers, then planning department, then finance, then the IT people. Then we have got internal stakeholders like the finance department and senior management. And I will put actually there is a great role academic and research institutions can play. Then we have got external stakeholders that could be public representatives, transport operators, construction industry, even the consultant and the broader is road leaders. So it is a partnership. Actually it cannot run by few people in the organization and other people remaining unaffected. So the very first thing actually I would request, it's important to have high level support for asset management. If we are not having it, we won't be successful. Actually several times it happened that the asset management thing started under the World Bank project and nobody is looking or knowing what it will do. And things collapsed as soon as the project actually finished. But in some states like in Assam, actually now the people are very supportive for maintenance. So if we make a good case, what we will do, lose without the asset management and provide that information to senior politicians and bureaucrats, then we will be in a much sounder footing. And effective participation of road users into asset management is the key. Without it, actually, we cannot create the public pressure. Actually, a lot of us believe that if we build road, then politician will be benefited by election. I can back actually in several cases, we started good maintenance into district level. That generated 1,000 times better political support in Assam and several other places. So we need to catch that opportunities with some, I will mention some pilot projects we can take. Actually, if we do a good communication strategy and communicate with people that this was the road condition, this is the way travel time is getting affected, then we would be in a much sounder position. Then actually one thing is extremely important is to provide high level support and leadership for asset management within the institution. Even the engineering chief, secretary and the national government, they should be for it. in the very first step, actually I need your thoughts on this. We need to have a asset management board or high level steering committee in the road agencies to promote asset management and to see the progress. Something similar to that we have got in Assam, that is Assam State Road Board, that is a high level body to guide various functions of asset management. And I will actually like to share with you that the maintenance funding has increased substantially due to that effort. And the idea, one of the things we need to do is to establish asset management units in Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. You know, ERP both and ADG both are here. So that is something worthwhile to do, and it could be resourced adequately, and all the ENCs can consider doing that at their place into the state headquarters. And one thing actually we need to do, build asset management capacities within the country among the road engineers. So what we can do is a 1-month championship training course for several of the people freely, so that they can start knowing and understanding the asset management principles and go for it. Then actually one thing we could do is we need a sort of vision for asset management. We are very going slowly, swiftly, it will not solve the problem. So sometime before actually I was working for the working group for the road, we made a recommendation that 0.5% of the sector budget could be made for research and development. So something similar we can do, like 0.25% of the sector budget could be for asset management at the source level, and we provide freely technical assistance to all the states to collect the data, run the asset management, run the training courses, so that the funding never comes and a coordinated effort could be started. So that is something. And what we can do also to have a pilot project from the ministry side, in which we demonstrate good asset management practice at least in one state, one district in each state. And once we do that, then it will pick up elsewhere, and that project could be funded. I will strongly request to DDRB to take it forward from the research grant, and that's the only way actually to move forward. If we leave it to states, people will be struggling for the funding, so that is something we should do. And a very, very key thing which we can do is linking the central funding to having a sound database for asset management and a functioning asset management in place. So if we say that any proposal coming to funding for a central agency should be supported or developed through the asset management system. In PMGSY we insisted the core network. So similarly we can do that. Actually without it, it's very, very difficult. Similar initiative can be done at the state level also. ENCs can see that the districts which are bringing the proposal, unless they are supported by the asset management system, it's not going to accept it. Then we need to have asset management units at headquarters and at districts. Actually under the ADB project, some network management units in some districts are being developed, so that is something very good. So now I will go on to the key points. Actually one thing I noticed is very good is the performance audit. That is supported by legislation in Australia and in UK, and some sort of a audit is also there in USA. It's not only whether the process has been followed or not. It is the auditing what was promised in the plan, whether it has been delivered actually or not. If the financing plan, finance department has approved, whether they are providing the money according to that. So something actually, this is very, very critical. And another thing we need to do, efficient delivery of maintenance works, that is the performance-based maintenance work. So that I will omit for the time. Another thing which is extremely important is that within the road agencies, we need to focus on the outcomes rather than the kilometer of roads delivered. In Australia, for example, and in Switzerland, several countries now asked that how you will affect the safety, reliability of travel, that is the travel time, comfort to road users, availability of the network, and the level of service. So if we change focus to that, then the things within the institution will drastically change. And some of the country where asset management is functioning very well, they have done so. Actually, and another thing is using the risk-based approach that I will tell slightly. Now this is the different performance measures which we can use. Like in engineering side, we can use roughness, size of the potholes, and the driving clarity, average travel speed. So these are very simple parameters. If we are starting focusing on that, then things will change drastically. Now I will come to actually development of asset management. I will just touch one or two more points. Actually, one thing we should do is good network planning exercise, because in the network there are many routes which are fragmented, and many important highways are not functioning as major traffic corridors. So the national ministry and the state head, in each state, we should develop high-level traffic corridors, classify the entire network system into different categories, and fix the service standards and design standards for each category of roads, without which actually that can make very, very big savings into the total expenditure. This is one example of the classification, but I am not going to do that. Another thing we need to do is moving towards life cycle cost planning. Those people who have moved, then they could resist the pressure for expanding the network without funding the maintenance. It is actually done in Australia and several countries. There are financing plans in place that I will discuss. So if something is not funded in the financing plan, that is not allowed to get actually approved. Then this database actually is common, I will leave that. This is one typical example where we can use the traffic level and the condition for prioritization of maintenance work. Assuming that traffic level is high and the condition is poor, so those roads can be given first priority, and rest of the network could be into different other categories. So this is something very important. Actually, world over now, there is pressure to prepare 10-year financing plans, not only the asset management plans. So people prepare asset management plans, and 10-year financing plans, how those assets, their development, maintenance would be funded, including the PPPs. And in Australia, there is regulation that if something is not actually included in the financing plan, it cannot be actually taken up, and all the maintenance and degradation has to be part of the financing plan. So people are moving from the yearly budget cycle to long-term budget cycle. Budgets are available for 4 years. And now if we integrate all the resources to the financing plan and ensure the budgets for 4 years, those people who work in road agency, how much your life will be simpler. We can do much, much better job there. And consider the risk actually, for example, what would be the risk on encroachment, asset failure, loss in asset value, then scenario will change. Actually, another thing which we need to do is asset valuation and depreciation reports. If the depreciation is not funded adequately, then people are not allowed to proceed either. It's added into the asset agency liability for future. Actually, another recommendation I want to make is to include a road safety module in the asset management, and some of the reports to be generated, I have actually listed them. I will not go into the details. One thing I will request is to prepare district performance reports, and that can be prepared in very, very simple terms, and that will actually allow us to improve the efficiency. So some of the case studies I have added, New Zealand Transport Agency, this I will omit. But I will show you one example in India which I used. It's actually in World Bank project. I had a project in Andhra Pradesh where the road network in 3 districts was 15,000 kilometers, which I have shown on the left side. When we prepared the core network, the total requirement of length was reduced to 9,700, and out of those, 3,000 were only important. And we had 300,000 crores money available at that time. So with the cost of improving those 3,200 kilometer was only 270 crore. So initially we were stuck that if we require 1,500 crore, what we will do with this small amount of money. So if we do the proper asset management exercise, we could put focus on the priority corridors that a lot of people are doing internationally. So just a second. So now I want to seek your advice how to improve the efficiency and resource efficiency in the highway sector using these considerations. I'm sorry I could not cover everything, but I hope the presentation will be able to.
Thank you, Mr. Ashok Kumar, for covering the topic in a quite comprehensive manner. It was just not project-based, or it was just not district-based, but it was across the sectors also, as I was looking at it, and the very important issues of planning on a long-term basis, even the funding on 10-year cycle basis was also touched upon. I'm very sure that this is a topic where there will be a lot of discussions that we will have to really go through, and there will be many suggestions that will be coming, and floor interventions will come. And I'm sure that at the end of the deliberations that we have today, there would at least be a few takeaways, maybe a couple of them, which could be simple and could be easy to implement straight away, and would lead us for better asset management in the future. We look forward that at the end of the deliberation we must be able to take away a few takeaways from here, which we would request the various state governments and the central government to implement. May I now request the other eminent speaker that we have today, Mr. Adesh Jain, to give us a presentation on project management, the other important topic that has been planned by the organizers for us today. Mr. Adesh Jain is the Bachelor of Electrical Engineering from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore in 1965, and done Masters in Engineering and Control Systems from Canada. He is already founding president of PMA India, which is not for profit registered society. He was the first, and till date is the only non-European president of IPMA in IPMA's history of 49 years. He was a member of the High Power Task Force set up by Government of India for 6 years from 2006 to 2012. Is already chairman of the China Project Management Committee. He was invited by NASA twice in 2010 and 12 to address the participants of the NASA PM Challenge Conference. And looking at his contribution in the field of the project management globally, the government of Turkey released a postal stamp, a limited number of copies, in his honor in November 2010. The introduction itself is quite clear about his various achievements, and I'm sure with his presentation today, the way he would be deliberating on the topic would be of immense help for us, all of us, to deliberate further, and as I mentioned earlier, get guidance and future directions. Mr. Adesh Jain, floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Actually, I'm very happy to be here with you this afternoon. I would like to thank Indian Road Congress and organizers to invite me. It's my second presentation, first time as a keynote in Nagpur. And sir, you being the chairman, I am very privileged to have you and all the distinguished people on the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, what Dr. Ashok Kumar mentioned is the second phase. If we do the projects right, the asset management will become simpler. If we have a good healthy diet, our medicine requirement will come down. So I think that's a very fundamental. I'm going to take you through the imperatives of project management. Those countries who do not believe in project management have no future. And that's what my presentation is going to be. So now let me start with the very strong, can I just start my presentation? Yes. I hope that so the title is Project Management in Asset Management. How do you, for assets, how do you manage projects? PMA is a non-profit, as Chairman mentioned, and we are very happy that Ministry of Road Transport and Highways are our life member. So does Ministry of Shipping and the Ministry of Statistics. Perhaps we are the only association where the Government of India is a life member. The IPMA, we are a member of IPMA, and IPMA comprises of 57 countries. 37 countries are from Europe, very highly European-centric, and you have from America, Africa, and all the continents. China, this syndrome, is leading in terms of the movement in project management. As I mentioned, the three ministries are our live member. We have a very strong managing committee involving administrator, private sector, public sector, government. We have 21 years every year. We do global symposiums. 2005 was the first one when Mr. Oscar Fernandez was the Minister of Statistics and Program Implementation. And this was done with his support. Mr. Chidambaram inaugurated. In 1995, first time when I came to Guwahati, it was on the insistence of the Finance Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who comes from the Rajya Sabha member from Assam State, and we did a 2-day program where he came for the valedictory address. This year just concluded, Dr. Mali came for inaugural address, Praful Patel did a valedictory address. This was organized in the TK Nair. My humble request to you, sir, now if we can move to the subject. Right. Now this is the subject which I wanted to just tell you. What is project management? Project management is normally misconstrued as construction oriented. The original word of project has come from the Latin word projectum. And projectum means to throw something forward. So everything is future. Whatever we do in life is future. Life itself is a project. Even now is a project. We have to complete by certain time. We could have started at a certain time. So projectum means future, and future means risk. The future is uncertain, therefore, whatever decision you take, they can never be 100% right. So those societies which are risk averse, everything goes right, nothing goes wrong, so that we can get promotion, those societies won't survive. Won't survive. Imagine the kids, if they don't fall, they will be all handicapped. Now the second 6 basic processes of project management were from the beginning of the human race. Initiate, plan, organize, implement, control, deliver. Very basic. All throughout the human history from cavemen. They were built into the mind. Because every one of us had to have 2 characteristics, living being. And that is survival and to do progeny. And these processes are required. The massive change which is happening in the last 20 years is towards creating these subconscious process into conscious processes. Project management, therefore, is a future management. Project management, therefore, is uncertainty management. Because we are managing future. Future is uncertain. And therefore, how do you manage uncertainty? Right of ways, construction, quality, all is part of the creation for the future. Project management is risk management. because future is that way risky. If we don't do risk management, forget about projects. 90% of project management is risk management. And that's what all the developed nations do, very extensive. NASA is number 1 in the world on the risk management. Now, what is the role of project management in creating assets? Shared vision among concessionaires, all the partners, stakeholders, goal clarity. We want to build quality products, quality roads and bridges and highways. As Ashok mentioned, life cycle costing. Look at the total cost for the 20-25 years. Put a lot of emphasis in the front end. It may require more finance. Please find that finance. So the goal clarity, project leadership, commitment and cohesion among partners. The contractors, the consultants and the customers are all part of the same game. You cannot treat contractors as something outside. We are integrated partners, and that cohesion, unless we bring that mindset, is very, very difficult to bring projects to excellence. And the fourth one is problem forecasting. Because future is unknown, risky, we've got to be out of box. We cannot be a pond, we have to be river, continuous flowing. And that means forecast what could go wrong. It's too late if you forecast, if you don't forecast. Cancer must be forecasted much before based on the symptoms than the stage 3. Project mindset, now this is a very important slide, which I like you ladies and gentlemen to pay some attention to it. That project management is the first side of the strategy. Before we manage as assets, we have to create assets. Creation of assets is the first stage. And then comes the asset management. And how do we do that? Through implementation. Through implementation of projects. Small or big or very big. And projects require resources. And if there are limited resources, we should have limited projects. If politically motivated, we start the projects everywhere to get the votes, it won't work. If we have shortage of people, skilled laborers, we've got to plug in. What can we do? Resources are finite. And therefore, projects must be deployed based on the limited constraint of resources and then produce deliverables. The deliverables is the key, based on quality and safety. So this is the phase 1. The phase 2 comes the operational or exploitation, as Ashok pointed out, asset. You have created the assets now. The outcome, the assets have been created. They must be operationalized. They must be put into use and create benefit. Social benefits, commercial benefits. Some projects are for the social cause of the society. And therefore the benefits, social or commercial, has to come. And the goals, the projects must be part of the goal, overall goal, integrated goals, and goals must give you continuous improvement, performance, lessons learned. And the goals must be part of the strategy. If you see here, if you can, in spite of these headlights, these are 3 green factors: the strategy, the goals, and the projects. They are integrated seamlessly. The moment there is a disconnect, we are finished, either through political compulsions or because of any other reasons. Portfolio must be in place. And that's what China exceeds. I have been 20 times to China. China was primitive than India in 1999. First time when I visited in March. Their project management was far below India. We were a little bit ahead. And today, with the kind of changes they have done, 2007 was my last time, I understand this, they're fairly ahead. And their whole quality is very strong there. Now what is this project mindset we are talking about? Project management. Look at the whole. You must look at the whole before parts. Like connectivity, he was pointing out, road connectivity, look at everything what we need to do. If you are digging this sand in making your water, the sand must be used somewhere else where we require sand. Look at the holistic view, and then part by part, we must be able to implement. Whole first, part later. If you don't see the whole, just parts will be disintegrated. The big picture and the small details. Be on the balcony and at the dancing floor simultaneously. You are looking at the long range and dancing on the dancing floor. You are implementing the parts, but you are looking at the whole, where will it be fitting. Quality aspects are important. Project mindset is dynamic adaptability, innovation. It's not fixed. Construction industry is very old industry. So therefore, the new innovation has a tremendous role to play. And of course, not a fixed size, rules and regulations, is too many fixed machineries, gives you no opportunity to do anything. You are fixed with the rules and regulations, and that's it. Then you will get nothing beyond in terms of innovations. Characteristics of a non-project mindset, less emphasis on front-end planning. Planning हम लोग थोड़ा कम करते हैं, little bit less. We are all third cousin of Einstein's. We know everything in our head. I have 30 years of experience. I have seen my father, who was engineering in chief in construction, he built IIT Kanpur from 1957 to 67. And I really appreciated that in terms of what he did, in terms of planning a little bit. I learned a lot from that, though I'm an electrical engineer. So less emphasis in the front end. It is the front end which will give rise to good end. If the front end is not good, your end is bad. Which means will give rise to all kind of problems. Unrealistic time targets. Often too optimistic. If there are going to be problems in a country like India, social problems, right of way, land acquisition, we have to take care of the masses and all that. We have to understand what will require to complete the 100 kilometers, 10 kilometers of highways. Project management not considered as a career. Hence, low emphasis on competency. Anybody given a title by designation, automatically you will become project manager. This is changing. Throughout the world, in all the 6 continents, India has to pick it up. India is now quite behind in terms of competency-based certification. Personality instead of process driven. Project mindset. What is a project mindset? Look at the whole which I mentioned, aligning stakeholders, collaboration and not arbitration. The moment you go to arbitration, you have destroyed the project. Arbitration clause should not ever be used. At that stage, intensive care unit, a patient becomes. If you start preparing to prepare for the arbitration, those projects will never come into life. Increasing the rate of reduction. If uncertainty management is project management, how do you reduce uncertainty? We need to be realistic, practical time targets, keep history in view, adequate time spent in risk assessment and corresponding mitigation strategies, front-end planning and loading, a must for achieving time targets, safety and quality, the foundation stones. There cannot be ever compromise on safety and quality, full stop. And if quality is there, then asset management will become much simpler. Upgradation of the skills to team building, qualified people to have the scientific approach, evolving standards and best practices, emphasize on certified project professionals. I'm just going to tell you very briefly some of the global reasons why projects fail in the infrastructure, unclear definition. What we want, 16%. Poor decision making. Decision making is the fundamental right of a project manager. Bold decisions. Even if they go wrong, we cannot nail them down and have vigilance inquiry against them. That's absolutely rubbish. If our intention was right, we took the assumptions, we made the assumptions, if things don't work right, no problem, they're dealing with future. So decision making is the second major. The incompetent project manager, 4%, and the poor coordination among the functional silos give rise to 9% of the issues. Uncertainty, ambiguity, dynamic interfaces, I'm not going to talk much about it, but these are very complex times. Every day the complexity increases. Expectation of the masses increase. They want a better standard of living. The internet has provided them what they should be. The expectations have gone up. And therefore it's a very big challenge to look into everything together. We tend to overestimate our capabilities for making wrong decisions. We tend to overestimate our abilities to control events. We must look at that realistically. Too many projects to handle, portfolio issue. We can handle only those projects which we have resources and competency to handle. We implement the best idea, not the most viable. I'm just going to show you one issue of time management on this. This is something this is very, very dear to me in the sense of this will give rise to the essence of the project management. Includes a rate of reduction in uncertainty. Ladies and gentlemen, this was presented in 2013 December to the international conference. If you do due diligence, detailed planning and risk management, your level of uncertainty in the beginning will go up. You are prepared now and you will complete the project. This is a good way of doing projects. Delay, look at all the possible things which can go wrong. Plan it out details, resource mapping, contractors' capabilities. The other way we do is, very often, we do is very fast. Less detailed planning, lack of planning, do it quickly, we have targets to meet, and then of course the uncertainty keeps on coming, and as you see the red line, time overrun. So rate of reduction of uncertainties is the key issue. In a sense, challenge in project management is in accelerating the rate of reduction of uncertainties. There are too many monitoring agencies. In this country, everybody seems to be monitoring at all levels. In our opinion, in my opinion, I am very clear as the crystal water. Only those agencies should monitor who can help you to reduce uncertainties. Uncertainty reduction, the more you monitor at the top level, the uncertainty he or she should be able to bring it down. The uncertainty and monitoring should go hand in hand. I monitor, but I don't reduce uncertainty in terms of taking decisions, in terms of helping you to get the land, etc. What right do I have to monitor? So I like to link this with the things, and we are working with the government now on this issue, how do we monitor an uncertainty together. Now let me just come to you on the issue of the 3/4 slides which you see now is again the importance of front-end loading. I was sent by Government of India in 1993 to the World Bank in Washington DC to look at the good projects and the bad projects. And this particular thing has come out of that particular study, that the transition economies intend design 2 units of efforts, planning 2 units, procurement 4 units, mobilization 2 units, construction activities keeps on going up 9 units. And there's some parameter how we look at units. And the handover and close out. No government projects ever get closed out, because you still keep 5% something in the hand. Against this, matured economy, the good projects, spend 100% more time in the intention, 100% more time in design, 150% more time in planning. They reduce mobilization, they reduce construction, and the handouts become much faster. Matured economies do a lot of this parabola shape is shifted to the left, where the transition economies, the firefighting takes place at the construction stage. Firefighting. Unless you sweat, unless you have a handkerchief to sweat, you are not doing projects. Firefighting is anti-project management. And I will leave that. And just to the last 4 or 5 slides, I want to show you the competency-based certification is the key today globally, where Germany, UK, China is number 1 today. If you look at the level C, out of 42,000 worldwide, China has 18,368. In the highway sector, quite a bit, road sector, building sector, 43% of certified project manager. based on competency are China. India is 114. And of course, B and E and A is the highest level. So this is where we need to demonstrate the importance of competency and go through the scientific approach. And I will show you this one more animation before I close. The knowledge itself is a poison. Knowledge is poison if it is not applied. Knowledge must be applied to practical situation. And I am very happy that Vishnu, the Secretary General of Indian Road Congress and PMA are working together to see how over the period of time we can bring all these things into the road sector. And the application is competence when you apply. And once you have the competence, then through the competence, the behavioral component, the technical component, the contextual component in the Indian context, how do we then become project leader? Project management to project leadership. People should be inspiration. People working at the lowest level should also get inspiration. Knowledge versus driving, application is different. And of course, we have this competency-based and knowledge-based certification. How do we know? How much do we know? Everybody seems to be knowing everything. For the infrastructure sector like FCON, Sapurji, L&T, ECC, for the last 4 or 5 years, we have done this study, knowledge component, how much do you know? And you'll be surprised, the knowledge component was very low, 2.3 on a scale of 10. And nothing wrong, like medical examination. You're deficient in D, take vitamins, become okay. So there's nothing wrong about it, and they did a great job in improving the knowledge component. And you can see the spectrogram. This is called PMKQ. Last slide is on the risk. As I mentioned, 80 to 90% of project management is risk management. Unless there is a good risk management document, we should not take projects. And mitigation studies. If the government is a partner along with the organizations and contractors, this should be a common denominator. Payment terms, risk. If I don't get delayed by payment by the authorities, my cash flow will be out. I'm finished. Risk. Risk is in scope, defining what you want to do. Risk is in time, what estimates of time. Risk is in cost estimates, project life cycle costing. Quality, risk, human resource, skills. Procurement, lowest procurement can often be quite costly. The communication and the integration. This is the basic. Risk management at every step. Hierarchy of risk. The maximum risk is at the level of the Prime Minister, the strategic level. If you are building power stations, how about coal? How about suppliers of the power equipment? They must be integrated at the planning commission level, at the government level, at the highest level. Therefore, you see at the highest level, risk size, length of the risk is maximum. If the top people don't take risk integrated way, the problem of the risk will be shifted to the projects. And project manager has to fulfill all those things. I am very, very clear. The top leadership. And all congratulations for your historic IRC annual convention. I have finished my presentation in 25 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We were talking about the project management, and when he started off saying that everything is a project, even delivering of a talk is a project management, and a time frame is given, one has to complete before time. And as rightly mentioned, he's finished up 5 minutes ahead of it. He's to be congratulated for that. There are a couple of things. He also tried to cover the topic in a very comprehensive manner, not just for the road sector, but by and large, what he had covered is applicable to all these sectors. There are a couple of issues that he mentioned over here to be taken care of is that there has to be a very good planning process in the beginning, despite the fact that that may take a little extra time. But a little extra time taken over there would ultimately save huge lot of time delays during the implementation. He again said that there has to be a very good project monitoring that should happen from time to time at different levels. But the people who are involved in the monitoring process should be ready to take, even if it means risks, because he did mention the political level, even if it means risks, they should be ready to take up those risks so that we are in a position to take the decisions, the clear decisions, unambiguous decisions which facilitate an implementation of the project. And finally, a well-delivered project would lead to easy asset management post-completion over a longer period of time on sustainable basis. Before we take the views and the comments and the presentations by the next panelists over here, I thought I would request the audience, the eminent delegates who are over here, to also pen down their thoughts or their whatever they want to make a comment, or if they want to make some suggestion, which could be a concrete suggestion, as I mentioned earlier, takeaway from at the end of this panel discussion for the guidance of various organizations at the government and non-governmental level for facilitating good project management and asset management in future. So you are free and you would pen them down and could pass on over here so that we can invite you to make that intervention. We may now move on, and I would request Mr. Mahesh Kumar, who is Engineering Chief in the Government of Haryana, PWD Government of Haryana. He has held various positions in the government, including in the National Highways Authority of India. He has got vast experience of handling various projects and has been quite involved in delivery on time and maintenance of those projects. Mr. Mahesh Kumar.
Thank you very much. Chairman, learned panelists, dear friends, on the dais and off the dais. Well, friends, it was only at 2:30 p.m. today. I told that I have to say a few words being a panelist, and so I have not prepared any presentation and nor have thought for making any presentation.
No problem.
But I'll share my experiences of my Haryana government, how we have been able to effectively manage our assets in Haryana. You see, in my last 30 years of tenure in Haryana PWD, I have seen 7 chief ministers in Haryana. Haryana consists of 23 districts. As and when we have a chief minister of a particular area, most of the budget or funds gets diverted to 1 or 3 districts, 1 to 3 districts. This means for 5 years, funds remain focused on 1 to 3 districts. Meaning thereby, for the rest of the 20 districts, you have to concentrate more on the asset management so that it doesn't really go from bad to worse. Meaning thereby that few roads will have where we have operated them for 9 to 10 years, and few roads we have where we treat them after every 2, 3 or 4 years. So that's the biggest challenge to us, to have an appropriate asset management. And my friends from the state PWD who are sitting in the audience might be agreeing from most of the, can anybody raise hands? Do you agree in the state PWD, if any? Do you agree with whatever I say? So they agree with me. So this is how agilely things are moving. The second most difficult task to us is to have a proper human resource who know the technical know-how, who know the systems to work upon. We are provided with absolutely the recruitments done by public service commissions. They are absolutely politically managed. I don't know if everything is being recorded, I'll be in trouble. So anyway, and we got a very poor quality of stuff to support us. To support the system, they are not very technically properly updated. They are not technically properly updated for execution of projects, for proper process of executions. They are not malafide, they are honest. But the problem is lack of technical know-how. Then the challenge arises how you make your original project strong enough to sustain so that we have minimum cost on the asset management. I took over as engineer-in-chief 7 years back. The first thing which I did was, any contractor taking a cue from the triple P projects in NHAI, that why the triple P projects get executed very good and cash contracts fail. Reason was simple, because a triple P concessionaire has to execute, has to maintain his project for say 5 years, 10 years, 15 years or 20, 25 years also. That's why triple P projects are better than the cash contracts. So we immediately put the defect liability conditions on the maintenance, asset management and defect liability for village roads for 5 years. Anybody working on the village road will be responsible for the asset management of the defect liability for 5 years. And anybody working on the state highway and MDR for 3 and 4 years respectively. That's how we moved that. And you know, even if my subordinate engineer wants a poor quality of work, my contractor is not going to do that. Reason simple, because he will have to pay more during the defect liability period. He employs good engineers, he recruits good engineers and executes a better project. This is how we have been able to bring out some reforms in the original projects by keeping defect liability. The system of PMGSY is entirely different than our defect liability or asset management. We don't pay any contractor anything extra in those 3, 4 or 5 years. PMGSY is different. PMGSY pays for every year for the services rendered. We don't pay. We simply retain their performance securities. At the end of 5 years, the video CDs are viewed and at 3 or 4 levels, and once the video CD is clear, then his dues are cleared. This means if I have a highway where I can't render any services for 8 to 9 years, in the years to come, there is a contractor to look after for 4 or 5 years of the work which he has done. This is our model we adopted, and for last 6 to 7 years, we are implementing it very successfully. Initially, of course, we had strike of the contractors, we had such problems, but ultimately we took over. Second, which we are maintaining almost 30,000 kilometers of the roads. And as I said, out of that 30,000, there must be 10,000 kilometers where I have not given any treatment for 9 to 10 years. And you can very well imagine Haryana, where 45% now is in National Capital Region. There's a lot of diversion of traffic, a lot of axle loads coming over, and things are very difficult. Traffic growth rate is 12 to 13% in 45% of it. And in those cases, then what we do is, we launch a campaign twice in a year. One is from 15th February to 15th June, and second from 1st September to 15th November. In that campaign, we launch pothole-free roads, jump-free roads, crack-free roads, by means of surface dressing or crack sealing. And we try to cover whole of Haryana through that process. So that process is covered again under 4 different things. I ensure that my PMGSY contractor does all those things. We have a weekly progress, detailed performance coming on emails, being monitored by a headquarter. Similarly, under defect liability, those who are supposed to maintain for 3, 4, 5 years, they are also being monitored. And thirdly is the departmental machinery, which is employed for 10 to 15,000 kilometer road, government baksas, government trucks, government rollers, mobile maintenance vans we have fabricated around 25. They keep on working in these areas. And at the 1 week before these dates which I mentioned, that is 15th June and 15th November, we officially declare by writing letters to MLAs, by writing letter to district magistrates, that, gentlemen, these are the roads which we have made portal free. These are the roads we have done your berms up to 1.5 to 2 meters wide on both sides. These are the roads we have done the defect liability, we have removed the jumps, we have crack seal. And I wait for their information if any of our information is incorrect. And let me tell you very frankly, friends, hardly 2 to 3% complaints come after this complaint. So this is an asset management which we carry out with a peanut. I get 20% of the total budget requirement for maintaining those highways. And we are able to deliver. With that 20% budget, if I go on the World Bank scheme, I give it to the contractor, I'll not be able to maintain 30,000, I'll be able to maintain 3,000 or 4,000 kilometers. So this is how we are working. But of course, my asset management doesn't include the encroachment done by the private parties or the villagers leaving their water on the highways. That's a very serious and big problem, because unlike Rajasthan or other states, after every 3 or 4 kilometers I have a village on my highway. And there I suffer, because either the public health water tap keeps running or some other water keeps running. Those are the real challenges for me. So, just see, because of the, now question is asset management we have to do with the minimum investment. State PWDs, if they are not taking loan, I don't think any of the state can afford to have them maintain the state with the sort of peanut funds provided to them. It is only with this sort of some innovative efficiencies and the departmental mechanism, if we put in, then we can probably have a proper asset management in the state. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mahesh Kumar. Just one piece of information, taking a cue from what Mr. Mahesh Kumar had said. We at the central level, looking at this issue of the maintenance post-construction, as he mentioned, comparing the BOT versus the cash contracts, what has been done is that a EPC contract has already been approved in the highway sector by the cabinet last year, and all the projects are now planned to be awarded on EPC mode, which at the moment, as per the contract, the defect liability period and the maintenance period, co-terminus, is for a period of 2 years. We have already started making it 5 years for the World Bank funded projects, and we intend to do it for all the balance projects. The design is to be done by the contractor. He is to implement. After completion, he is required to maintain it for a period of 5 years. The defect liability period and the maintenance is co-terminus, and he will be responsible for that. Thank you. May I now request Dr. GVS Satyanarayana Raju. He is Engineering Chief, R&B, Government of Andhra Pradesh. He is MTech Structures and MTech Soil, and he is PhD. Dr. Raju, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fellow delegates on the dais and off the dais. As rightly pointed out by Dr. Ashok Kumar and Sri Adesh Jain, the project management and asset management are the most critical elements of the total highway management. But I slightly feel that asset management is not part of the project management, but project management is part of the asset management. So I don't accept that if project management is done properly, we don't have to do the asset management. So we have to have covers every gamut of engineering, and I'll be more comfortable calling it as asset engineering rather than asset management, because we have other big brothers in this society. The moment we say management, they're going to hijack it from engineering profession, and they say that we are better managers than you. So with that, in the later vein, I just wanted to make it a point. But I feel that though we are spending a lot of money in the acquisition of assets, we don't have proper documentation of the assets and categorization of the assets like revenue generation and debt assets. And we should have also an asset audit per se, that how our design mechanisms are working or how to improve them. One caution I want to say that we are having a lot of data that is flowing into the civil engineering profession. And I want to say that every data is not information and every information is not knowledge, and every knowledge is not learning. Unless we discriminate and identify what is proper information and what is proper knowledge, and utilize them, blend them properly, and use it, and then only we will be able to enhance our skills in proper asset management. And for asset management, we always require the researchers, the planners, the designers, the supervision teams, and quality control experts. Unless we have mutual respect among these 5-6 groups of people and come forward to share the information instead of submerging and diverting the information, and we can have a proper asset management and wealth management of the highways sector only when we have mutual respect between these 4 or 5 gamut of people and then sharing of knowledge. Because the research as on today in pavement management, to the extent I understand, is very, very minimal, and we are not able to cover. Whenever we have any, basically the basic pavement design itself is empirical, and the moment we have a new material, we are falling back, and we are not able to come forward with an alternative design, and we are not able to accept any design with a new material. That is one problem. The other one is the moment we don't have a material which is acceptable under the codal practices, our design methodology, our design practice is not able to answer those solutions, and we were forced to transport materials from 400 kilometers and 500 kilometers just to have confirmation with the specifications, which is definitely an economic penalty on the country. So we should, first of all, we should concentrate on the design processes, and we should have a more rational design practice, so that for any change in the properties, we should be able to give an alternative design. And for any change in the new material, once we want to introduce in the pavement, in any part of the structure, be it subgrade or subbase or base or bearing course, we should be able to modify our design, and then we should have confidence in changing the design parameters. Then the evaluation of design, I don't know, in the last 50 years we are going on designing, we are executing them, we are using them, but I don't know whether if I design a road for 100 MSA, whether it lasts for 120 MSA or it will pay 80 MSA. So we don't have confidence about the design practice. Whatever we are designing may stand, it may not stand, it may fail, but we are very good in giving the reasons for failure. We can always throw the blame on 101 parameters on which we don't have a control, as rightly pointed out by Mr. Mahesh Kumar, that drainage is becoming a problem, asset holding is a problem, because we have contrarian requirements and contrarian conflicting interests, because some of the contractors are politicians, some of the politicians are contractors, some of the engineers are contractors, some of the contractors are politicians. So this mixing of professional people into the non-professional areas is making the asset management much more tougher, unless there is a proper management schedule, asset management structure, irrespective of the persons who are going to operate it. Because as rightly pointed out by Mr. Mahesh Kumar, that the human resources is getting problematic day by day. Apart from the political reasons he is attaching, what I want to just mention here is that the civil engineering profession is being given as the last chance by engineering professions, mostly going for computer science, computer engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering. All the conventional engineering were given a third line or fourth line, and even somebody who chooses civil engineering, once he completes, the top 50% are once again jumping into software. So what we are left out with is the raw junk, and added to this, preferences of other nature which we don't have any control. With those people, I think now it is time for us to switch to more system-based decision making rather than individual-based decision making, so that they will not be able to touch that, either it is in planning or constitutive models or deterioration models, because they are not there. It will be very sorry state of affairs. We are already facing it in some states. They will not be bothering about all this unless we have some code or some mechanism from MOST or IRC. We should have a design process, selection process, and mechanistic basis, so that individuals will not be able to tamper it. So with that, I thank the organizers and the chairman to give this opportunity to talk before you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Raju, for your valuable views. May I request Mr. S.K. Puri, who is my senior colleague and retired Director General from the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. He has worked both in the government as also in the private sector, despite the fact earlier also he did stint in the Nepal project, which was being funded by the government of India. And I've seen him working over there in different capacities, and I have very high regard because, the same agencies which are not performing within India, he made them perform in Nepal. So, and he's always focused on his assignments, so he remained focused over here as well to be very brief and precise to the issues that he has to raise. Thank you, Mr. Puri.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Fellow delegates, good afternoon. I would just say that asset management and project management, I think they are correlated to each other. I would like to fully endorse Ms. Adesh Jain's views regarding project management, and I will dwell on it at the field level. So I will take you to the field level. But first coming to what Dr. Raju said, that we as engineers, this is a IRC platform, so let me say as engineers, let's start taking decisions, otherwise in future roads will be built by advocates and chartered accountants, arbitrators, and we'll be left nowhere as engineers. With that, you see, unless a project is properly planned and executed, it is very difficult, almost impossible to preserve these assets and maintain and manage it. I'll give you examples. Example is that we have codal provisions. Codal provision says minimum. That means over the years we had always been saying, if this is minimum is 23, okay, let's make it 24, 25, 26, anything. When we had come to the PPP mode, and now as ADG said, now EPC, again EPC is because the design has to be done by the contractor. That 26 also has to be 25 point something, something, something. So that is where, that is one point we are saying. Second is the drainage part. We are working in brownfield projects. Land is available only in small stretches. Just try to imagine, go on the road, try to see, let's say in a 80 kilometer or 70 kilometer road, when it is constructed, how many joints are there in each pavement layer? How many joints are there in each pavement layer? Sometimes on the left side, some on the right side, one carriageway, the other carriageway. Then the drainage part. Whenever we must have proper drainage system, but from financial considerations, it is a fact on record that in DPR, trains have been given, and at the planning level or before tendering, those trains have been deleted. Trains have been deleted. Now please tell me, if trains which has been designed by an engineer, and that a train has to be here, and if that train is removed before tendering and awarding, how will you manage that road? How will you maintain that road? How will you maintain that asset? So, what I am trying to, when we are constructing, let's say, I'll give you an example where we know that sand trucks are going. It is bringing wet sand, water is going, loaded trucks are coming, it is pavement, is being damaged. A separate lane planned by the DPR consultant, okay, let these trucks move on a separate lane. No, that is removed, they will come on the main carriage. So what I am saying, that this asset, after all, how we have to preserve these assets which we are constructing now as GQ has North-South corridor, and in fact every state is now also coming. But the big word is PPP, EPC. Even for 2 or 3 years, almost, after first day, the first day is punch list. The punch list itself takes 6 months. So the work never stops on the road. We are building a new road, we are building a new project, but the work is never stopping. 6 months, the punch list will keep on going on, then the maintenance will start, then the damages will start. So where is the asset management coming? So we are moving, we have to, at this level first, at the first pedestal level, we have to think that during construction, we have to see everything which is given in the manuals, in the codes of IRC, which we approve here in the council. They are, in letter and spirit. They are taken and they are done. Whether it is the safety issues you take, sir. Ministry has come out, after all, asset is what? You have given safety issues. All safety issue, ministry circular is there. NHI circular is there. After that, if you want those things to be implemented, not being implemented any road. So if the project is not constructed as per what is defined in the manual, what is defined in your circular, how will you maintain that road? How will you manage your assets? So that slightly trying to the practical side of it, because all what Dr. Ashok and they said, these models are available. We can use these models, but you can use these models only if the project which is handed over to you. We have seen ourselves I can say, so the bridge bearings, a nicely newly built bridge, you go down in the bearing, the packing, the wooden pack which is used for the packing has not been removed from the bearings. So I'm just trying to, please don't mind, I'm just trying to focus on those things from where the asset management will start. So I'm just trying to focus on the project management. And this project management can be done only by the engineers. This project management cannot be done by advocates. This project management cannot be done by chartered accountants. This project management cannot be done by administrators. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Puri. That's the range that we have been discussing, is right from the macro level project management and asset management and planning. What Mr. Puri talked about is a micro level, and even for every even management, I think there has to be a written down do's, don'ts, etc. kind of a list, so that every activity, everything. Because as you mentioned, if the wooden packing is not taken out, the bearing won't come to function. It won't just happen. Before inviting Mr. D.P. Gupta, I would invite Mr. Bhaumik, right? Mr. Sunil Bhaumik. He is Chief Engineer, Engineer-in-Chief, Engineer-in-Chief from Tripura PWD, and to give his experiences during his professional experience in Tamil in Tripura. Mr. Bhaumik, please.
Honorable Chairman, distinguished panelists, senior engineers, IRC fellow members, and ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I have been requested by Mr. Samseng, one of the Karmakarta of IRC, just 1:30 or 2 p.m. to be attended in this program as a panelist about the chapter slated for today's discussion. However, I was not at all prepared. Still, whatever the practical and field experiences I have with us or gathered from my fellow engineers, senior engineers, contemporaries over the last 34 years in field level activities in PWD of Tripura. I would like to share few of my experiences here about the subject discussing here, and I am listening so many big experts comments, methodology about asset management, project management. It is of course really good, but I should say few of the presentation I have seen here, of course it is good in theory, in the book, in the academician, but in practical level, nothing is being implemented because of so many reasons, administrative reasons, political reasons, bureaucratic reasons, and ultimately, I will put the 90% responsibility upon the engineers. We are engineers approaching to different policymakers, to different administration in different mind. They are getting some gap to penetrate and hesitating us in a bad way. That is the result, and this is why nowadays throughout the world and other forum, taking this asset management and project management is one of the important and priority area to be managed. According to my very limited knowledge, as we are in a extreme fag end of a country, landlocked area, not having a much of communication with the mainland. Still, whatever the difficulties we have been facing, I would like to highlight in taking a very short time. It is that every asset, that is, it may be infrastructural, it may be hospital, it may be road, it may be one tubewell. Public assets means with the money of the public not maintained by the government. Money of the public collecting, maintained by the government, implementing by the technocrats and others, policymakers. So, what I feel, of course so many things have discussed after creation of assets, during execution process, management, putting skilled worker, putting skilled engineers, giving due attention on the quality measure, arranging or procuring quality materials. But I should say, forget all these things. If we do not give a very serious thought or proper attention before concept of any projects, and in our country or in few states, it is my practical experience that every project, every infrastructure, every public asset, concepts coming from the other side. No engineers are brain, this is not coming. Somebody is coming, this bridge, this tubewell is to be constructed there. We are go down to them, we are making a DPR in this process. If it is not viable, we are compelled or to take some one benefit. We are making a beautiful DPR and it is prepared, sanctioned and implemented, but it does not come into the utilization properly. This is also bad management, bad waste of public money. So, engineers, technocrats, scientists only can break this role by giving their special thought. Definitely, why a projected concept? We are not taking care of any reconnaissance survey. public survey. Thereafter it will come our technological survey, DPR and other hydrology and other engineering parameter. If public survey and reconnaissance survey is the basic thing, if it does not stand engineering survey, engineering DPR will not work. But here it is being given special attention, ignoring the local survey and reconnaissance survey. So I am just in this aspect I am just giving one small example. That is, one tube was constructed by one gentleman after seeing the sufferings of the women. So immediately he seen in the noon time ladies are going to about 2 kilometers away from their home to collect water. That gentleman was very much kind enough to put another tube within the middle of the village. Afterwards he seen after a few months that nobody is taking water from them. They are still going there. This is the issue. Then he thought the water is not good quality, or as I have constructed, nobody is accepting it, but things are not this. That public survey, public comments, opinion was not taken, that was the result. When he was started asking the ladies, why you are going 2 kilometers away, instead of having a tube at your doorstep, they are saying, at that time, the ladies were confined to in their kitchen. This is the time they are getting for gossiping with other ladies. So they went there and gossip 1 or 2 hours, checking back the water with a pot of jar. And this is why afterward he has realized whenever anything will be constructed, that public opinion is must. So I am taking some more time. Just a minute. And there are few points I am pointing it out. You see, the delaying project. We are preparing a DPR after a lot of exercises. DPR is getting delayed at various stages on various reasons. But after all, with the same query, the DPR is sanctioned after 1 year. Engineers is being asked to implement it. Some of the engineers are trying to raise their hands, but after all vote out, we are compelled to implement it with a bad quality of material, bad engagement of manpower, bad engagement of design, and ultimately it is giving a bad structure. Responsibility come to us. So, project management, I should say, management aspect is very important in my Tripura. I have just one example I am giving. When I have seen lot of road work I am doing, immediate after 1 year, road is getting damaged. We have to incur so many money over the maintenance. Then I decided, after talking to my policy makers, let us keep the 35% of the bill value will be withheld. That will be released after 5 years of the completion of the work. Immediately after for one example, in this process work was started. I have seen work is going on. No special emphasis on the quality and supervision required. He himself taking it because he knows once road will be damaged, he will have to spend money to get it repaired. So this is one of the area I have been implementing, and another just small issue. And I should say the state, like smaller state, they did not have much of revenue. So I request, so this forum, planning commission should think of to provide some special maintenance fund along with the plan fund also. Otherwise, creating new, damaging the old, it is useless. This is the thing happening. This is with this small time from my practice I have highlighted. Thank you for all.
Thank you, Mr. Bhamik. Coming from the heart.
Shankar, we will save time. You need not introduce him.
Yeah. I mean,
let us,
everybody knows him very well. There's no need to introduce him.
Sir, first the last point, our learned speaker from Tripura said that planning commission should give fund for the information of the house. First time in the 12th finance commission. First time. It was 2006 that central government grants are available for maintenance of state roads and state buildings. So we have to show that we are using them well. So that is the point of this asset. My lecture starts now. It is 3 minutes. From this logo of IRC, the written in Sanskrit, San Margat Lok Seva. San Margat means, it is a Sanskrit word, through good roads is public service. So that is our logo. So my submission here is that we are building road assets at huge cost to the economy. So we have to preserve them, we have to protect them, and we have to maintain them. And as such, it should be declared as an essential public service. And there were echo that the opinion from the public. So we should have road user surveys regular on our highways, and we should publish road user service index, which takes into account all the parameters of performance, safety, rutting, bridge condition, and whatever is given in our manual. And next point, Ashok Kumar was exhaustive presentation. What I would submit is, flowing from there, IRC in the H6 committee should come up with detailed guidelines for the asset management, which should include in it the replacement value of the road network. I have my belief that this asset value of the road network being done, like a Baniya as I am, and we say that the total asset value of my roads in this country is 10 trillion rupees, 200 billion US dollars. So that will immediately focus attention of our politicians and bureaucrats. And that is the point I like to stress in our guidelines. And this asset management system, we are talking so much from New Zealand, Australia. So my take is that it should not be Professor Sadi. It should be simple for my PIUs at JE and AE level, that we can get the simplified data, simple system. Once it becomes manageable and sustainable, then we highlight and bring our professors into picture, so that उनकी भी मार्केट चलती रहे और हम जो टेक्निकल धनाढ़ी अपने आप को करते हैं हमारी भी चलती रहे. अभी लेकिन हमारे को नौकरी अपने जेई और एई की बनानी है. So that is the point I wanted to say. Then comes, you said this EPC system. It is inbuilt, this defect liability period, which is incentivizing good management. And my point further on the good management is that if you are producing a 4 kilo child or if you are producing a 2 kilo child, but both 4 kilo child also need maintenance and 2 kilo child also need maintenance. So let us first have healthy babies and also maintain them. So that is the point I like to stress. And all this must be done in the project management mode, as Jansa very rightly brought, project management in asset management. We are going to do performance-based maintenance contracts. Let them do in the project management mode, and that is all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Gupta sir. There are a few comments over here with me, and there's another slip wherein from Mr. Shishir Bansal from the Delivery Administration. He wanted probably some 5 minutes to speak about. While Mr. Shishir can come over here, there is a comment from Mr. Samiran Sen, which says that we must realize that asset management is not subordinate to asset creation. In fact, it is more important and more effort intensive, because assets have to be managed over 10 to 15 years, probably more than that, while creation takes 2 to 3 years. We entirely agree with him. He has given a suggestion that establish Road Asset Management Authority, RAMA, RAMA, at the center and at the states, for example, RAMA India, RAMA Assam, RAMA Haryana, etc., etc. Well, probably, the name given is also quite good suggestion. Maybe it could be Rama, and things would happen thereafter. Thank you. You already, yeah, okay. There are other comments, but before that, may I request you, can you quickly, because we are running out of time, and I understand Chief Minister has already arrived, and then we can...
Okay, sir, I haven't gone 5 minutes. I'll try to finish within 3 minutes only.
Yes.
Because time is short, I understand
Good,
that.
good.
But thing is that when it's an annual session, and anything which presents without Delhi representation. That is the face of the country. Actually, Delhi must be represented. I'm project manager in Delhi PWD, and what we are doing is creating assets in Delhi for last 30-40 years. Why I'm saying 30-40 years? Because if you recall Delhi, we have two mega events in Delhi. In 2010, in 1982, we had Asian Games, and 2010 we had Commonwealth Games. And the first major thrust of flyovers in Delhi, it came in 1982 when we built 4 flyovers, especially for bringing the sport persons from Asian village to the sports complex. And again 2010, the sports complex was built in Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, and Games village was made Akshardham Temple. From East Delhi to Central Delhi or South Delhi, we created Brahmaputra corridor, other corridor. Sir, I'll not go in details, I'll not go in my presentation, it will take more than 10-15 minutes. So closing that part, I'll just simply say what we are doing. We have been creating assets now, and we have started talking of sustainability. If you see the definition of sustainability as defined by UN Convention, utilizing today's resources without compromising the ability of future. And 3 major pillars defined in sustainability as economics, environmental, and social. We are doing engineering, somehow we are taking environmental factor also, we are doing economics also. But it's social factor which we are neglecting. That is actually taken care by Delhi PWD essentially, that whenever we create assets, whenever we are going traffic corridor through an urban area, we have to be very essential what we are doing. Actually, I'm not showing everything. But this 4th dimension, which is asset management, which I define as governance. So I say sustainability, instead of 3 pillars, should start getting 4 pillars. Environment, economics, social factor, and governance factor. Unless the asset management is there is no point of creating all these infrastructure. And for the asset management, Delhi PWD recently started creating birth certificates and rebirth certificates of all the flyovers and roads in Delhi. We have created so many assets, and what is happening is that the persons who are the project, the youngest person, say junior engineer, or the person who has recently joined the department, is of 25-26 years of age. After 30-40 years, he is retired. And we claim that the project will live 100 years. But who has checked 100 years? After 30-40 years, no record is available. Even the youngest person who has grown old and retired, nobody is available. So essentially, we require to have proper documentation of each and every project. And Delhi PWD has taken a lead. We have started. And next 6 months, we will have total birth certificate for the newly constructed projects and rebirth certificate, which will carry all the required information of the projects which is taken, right, like the span of the building, type of construction, then bearings, expansion joints, contractor, the design parameters, everything will be catered in that, and that we are doing. I think I don't go in detail because already taken away. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shishir Bansal. There are a couple of other comments before we conclude and move on. I would like to make some comment about, yes, Mr. Chamanla. Is there a mic over there that could be given to him? Okay, all right. Yes, Mr. Chaman.
Having the experience of doing 4 asset management systems, the present management system, which is running to something around 4,297 roads, I would assure you, think simple. If you really want to create an asset management system, think simple. If there has to be a person who needs an asset management system, if there is no person, believe me, there would not be any asset management system. And to start with, just provide one 3-field table. If everybody understands on this, on the databases, ID number, name of the road, name of the division. That is what is the starting point. You start with this and start building, your system would be there. We started with this 3-field table only, and we did cover twice over in PWD, Haryana PWD, and then in marketing road. Each of the road was covered, because we segregated development from repairs. Please understand, if you do not segregate development of roads from repairs, you are going to create a mess of it. All your resources would get diverted to development and you would have hardly any money for the repairs. And secondly, within the repairs themselves as well, do segregate special repairs and ordinary repairs. This is simple. Once you have that table, it is extremely simple. Then evaluate which of the roads only want ordinary repairs. Delegate entirely to the persons. Your roads would be ordinarily repaired, and I assure you, with as little money as something around 27 crores, we have been able to maintain and cover about 9,000 kilometers of roads under ordinary maintenance. Of course, these roads are the lowest level of roads. These are not national highways, these are not state highways, these are not MDRs. You have to, but by having this strategy, you have been able to reduce the work of the top management. The top management work is reduced to, if I was having 4,297 roads, then my work is reduced to something around 600 roads. And as somebody said on the panel, if you don't want to take decisions, you do not have a right to monitor. If you want to monitor, then please take decisions. And the 600 roads which have been thrown up by your asset management system, you must make decisions what exactly you want to do. There would be always pressures on political sides, but I assure you, at least for the last 3 years, in respect of repairs, I have not got even a single telephone call from any political person that you do not repair this road. And we had been able to repair all roads. As of now, whatever the worth of the information which I have with me is, out of these 4,297 roads, only 17 roads are reported not to be patched. About 500 roads are reported to be requiring special repairs. And out of these 500 roads, more than 400 roads have already been contracted out with the special repair works. And for other remaining 100 roads, all the works have been decided and the tenders are in the process. So, the bottom line once again is, have confidence in yourself. It is extremely simple. You have to start with simple things and you have to build. That is the way it can be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamala. This is a subject, of course, is very close to the heart of all the professionals who are involved in the road sector, and which is very clear for the fact that there are so many slips that have come, so many suggestions, so many issues that have been raised, and there are areas that, through the comments that have come, looks like that we'll be able to give to the IRC the requirement of having some more discussions in future. Panel discussion wherein people are involved, and maybe the discussions that take place are focused. One of the comments that I would like to bring to your notice is from Mr. A.K. Pradhan, executive engineer in Orissa. He has said that why is it so that we are giving the contracts to the contractor who's quoting the lowest? Why is the preferred contractor? Why can't it be some other methodology we develop whereby the assets created through the agency, he is credible agency, and he has given some suggestions. It's an important issue. I think this needs to be deliberated, and there are internationally different models which people do adopt. Maybe those discussions can take place over here through the IRC forum, and different models can be deliberated, discussed as to what is that we are looking for from the agencies who come forward and give a bid. One of the issues that has been mentioned in past by many agencies is that the time period, particularly for the contract model that I talked about, the EPC, people have said that you don't give enough time. We have already taken a decision in the ministry that we will now give 90 days time for the people to submit their bid. And the same way it is going to happen for the BOT project, whereby we will be giving 90 days time. So so that people are able to prepare a better bid, and which requires a lesser input during the maintenance period. There's another comment which has come, wherein it has been said that why the asset management is being talked about, and why the asset management is being confined only to the road structure, the road or the concrete structures that we build. Why is it not even beyond that, just about the drainage systems, the culverts, etc. It should go beyond, including the ROW. And there was another comment wherein said that why ribbon development is not also being taken care of and should be inbuilt as a part of the asset management requirement. It's very correct. In fact, I was just discussing earlier with Mr. Ashok Kumar that Dr. Ashok Kumar, that probably when we say asset management, probably it's the first thing that needs to come to mind and which needs to be clarified is what is the asset that we had talked about. Only then its question of management would come in. So it's very correct when we say that it's not just the black top or the white top that we are talking about. It's beyond that, including all the furnitures and also the ROW, so that the ribbon development doesn't take place. There are other very, very important comments that have come, and I look forward that we will pass it on to the IRC. Yes. There is one important thing. Let me have a look at it. There's a comment saying that this is from Mr. Ramachandran. He is Joint Managing Director MSRDC. Ramchandani, Joint Managing Director MSRDC. Where he has said that the PPP BOT based concessionaires contractors are providing and maintaining the infra projects for concession period only. It is going to be a huge task to manage such assets after the concession period, when the maintenance requirement would be too high and toll revenues are not being available then. Can we not go for the asset insurance to help replace the structure at the end of the service life of the asset created? Just a piece of information that as far as the National Highways is concerned, as per the toll policy, at the end of the concession period, whereby we can say that the investment for creating that infrastructure has been repaid, the toll will become 40%, which is basically from the point of view of taking care of the maintenance, because the toll, once levied, is perennial and will happen for all times to come in future, and it will be only to the extent of 40%. The other thing that can be done at that point of time is that have another agency which is on OMT, operate, maintain, transfer, and whatever little improvement at that stage is required, one can always plan and provide for to be done by the agency who comes in to take care of the OMT. The OMT concessionaire would, in the very first year, would take care of that. It could be a medium-term maintenance effort, ranging at the moment what we are planning is from 4 years to 9 years, and thereafter whatever further improvements are required can be taken over. Yes, please.
I'd like to further add, railways have a system of depreciation reserve fund, where this track renewal is a highly committed item. So when we prepare these guidelines, so we can think of something similar like insurance, what you said, that you see what is NVT? Contractor is doing and he is assuring 15 years maintenance, and we are paying him in deferred. Here the issue is that can we put down, when we are doing construction 100 rupees, can we put down 10 rupees initially itself in the bank as a fixed deposit? And out of that fixed deposit we maintain for 15 years. So those kind of things are there. So that is what Ashok Kumar wanted, that let us have some kind of a further detailed workshop on this, so that we come to more concrete.
There's another thing I wanted to bring to your notice is that Dr. Ashok Kumar has mentioned to me that some World Bank funding, along with the support of the World Bank experts, could be brought in, wherein we could set up a workshop which is specifically asset management from the point of view of the asset management. A 2-day workshop could be organized, wherein we bring in as many stakeholders as possible, including all the state governments and the consultants.
Other experts also from
and
even
yes.
the states. Actually, what I
Right.
want that we can share good practice examples. For example, there are in Haryana lot of work is being done in several other states. I don't want to name. So what we can do is we can synthesize that in the shape of a workshop. And those people, what should be the priority area for asset management? Actually, Mr. Chamanlal had made very valid point. Let us start with data collection itself. So the first stage, then the second stage, then the third stage. Even the data collection, it's so complex a task. We want to have one day discussion all day, which are the item of data collection, how we can actually collect them and update them on regular basis. But perhaps maybe we can seek the advice from our people whether it will be a worthwhile idea to go for
Yes,
this.
sure. We would work it out and see to it that with the intervention we will involve IRC also for that, and so that we can move forward and have a 2-day workshop to bring about greater clarity on the subject and whatever inputs can come in from the international practices. I am extremely sorry to say that although there are a huge lot of comments, a lot of interventions that have come over here, but I am not able to read them out, all of them, because of the paucity of time. I understand the chief minister has already arrived over here. There's only one thing. That I would like to say is that one of the comment was that the proceedings of the panel discussion, if that along with the comments that have come could be published and they are available, this will help and bring about much more input coming from the various stakeholders, and if it is possible, we will pass it on to the IRC. Hopefully, it will not be a problem for them to bring it up for the consideration and put it up for the the information of all of us. Before we conclude, let me give you information that I am told by the IRC organizers over here that the next session is continuing in the Kazinga Hall, and we are all expected to go over there. With that, I'm thankful to all the panelists over here, all the speakers, and the people who have given the intervention and your valuable input through writing or otherwise. And we look forward that this will continue so that we will be able to move forward and achieve the target of having good assets created and maintained on a sustainable basis. Thank you very much.